Virtue number 3 in our 10 virtues of a law officer. Let me read it. I will refrain from vulgar, obscene, coarse, or offensive language that may offend others. Now this is going to be one of those virtues that may rub some of you the wrong way, because our language is so ingrained in our police culture. I mean, no matter how offensive or how crude it might be, we just feel like that's the way cops are supposed to talk. Now some argue that it's some type of a coping mechanism. Others argue that street language is necessary for dealing with street criminals. But I think it really is just a lame excuse for a lack of professionalism and perhaps a lack of vocabulary. I remember the first night I rode in a police car as a 16-year-old kid, and I should emphasize, I was riding in the front seat, not the back seat. It was a ride-along. And I remember the police officer telling me that I was free to take anything that I learned at the police station. I was free to take that home with me, except for the language. Well, guess what I took home with me? That's right, the language. And it was some years later, when I was contemplating marriage and raising a family, that I realized I really needed to clean up my language. And I just made a conscious decision to do so. It really wasn't all that hard. And I am so glad that I did. Now, I'm not advocating that we become a bunch of prudes. I don't think that's realistic. I don't even think that's particularly necessary in our environment. But foul language and coarse talking and bad, nasty jokes should not be the norm of our language as a professional law enforcement officer. I remember when I was sheriff, one of the best compliments I would ever get on my deputies and staff was on the quality of their language. People would say that they were impressed by the fact that we did not have this foul language just proliferating through the entire agency and all of our language. Now, that's not to say that an expletive wouldn't slip every now and then. Certainly it would, but it was not the norm. And this was so encouraging to me, particularly when members of my own staff, especially some of the ladies, would come and say how refreshing it was to be in an environment where you didn't have all the foul language, you didn't have all the coarse joking, you didn't have all the sexual innuendo going on. And you know, not only is controlling our language and taming our tongue a professional standard that we should be striving to, not only is it good character, but it may very well protect you from a sexual harassment charge. You know, the character first definition of the character quality of deference says that I should limit my freedoms so that I do not offend the taste of others. And nowhere is this more important than the arena of our language. Resorting to foul language is rarely necessary, it's rarely prudent, and instead we should be focusing on improving our tactical communication skills, improving our ability to generate voluntary compliance with the law. And I'm going to tell you something. If we don't start cleaning up our language, the courts are going to do it for us. I'm Sheriff Ray Nash, Police Dynamics Media.